Okay, hey everyone, hey ScreenCloud team. So today what I'm going to be talking about is a connected company. So how ScreenCloud are helping companies connect with their deskless workforce. And excuse me. And we're going to be doing it through kind of a day in the life of two people in the same company, and walking through kind of their experience. And this is based on lots of customer conversations that we're having at the moment. So this is actually a true story, even though some of the facts have been slightly hidden. So meet Jo. Jo is an internal comms manager. She's just got her new job at a large manufacturing company in the US. She's super excited to get started, and meet Sam. So Sam is a manufacturing team lead. Sam works for the same company too. He's been at the company for 15 years now, so a long time. Jo comes into the kind of job with one objective, and that's to connect with her deskless employees across the company. The company has over 8,000 employees spread across 25 different sites in the US, so a massive workforce. And over half of those employees are deskless. Also, like any internal comms team, she has a very, very small team that she's coming into, so only 5 people in Jo's team. So hopefully there's a good platform in the company that she can use to kind of, as a channel to kind of connect to the 8,000 employees. Before I kind of get started into it, what do I mean by deskless? So basically anyone who's not sat behind a desk to perform their job. These types of jobs are spread across lots of different industries, including manufacturing, that I'm going to be going through in a sec, agriculture, retail, education, and they basically make up 2.7 billion of the global working population, so it's a massive, massive segment. Sam is classed as a deskless employee. So like I said, he's been with the company now for 15 years, and when he joined, there was only 50 people, so he was he knew everything that was going on in the company, and he felt very connected. But at the moment, he's very disconnected. Sam works at one of the 25 sites, and he knows what's going on in the site, but in the company in general, he's very, very disconnected. He doesn't really know what's going on. To add to that as well, the company's been in the news recently. The company's been impacted over COVID, the output's dropped through the supply chain, etc. And there's quite a high turnover at Sam's site as well. So the big thing around deskless workers is there's a massively high turnover rate in these kind of companies, or this particular segment. So Sam decides to go and chat to his manager first thing, just to kind of understand what's going on with the company and find out a bit more details. Okay, so Jo is kind of first day into a new job. She's finding out how things have been done in the past and looking at all the different tools the company have used so far. It turns out the company are actually managing 150 different platforms and tools, which is what we're hearing from customers at the moment. Big companies, as they grow and they kind of mergers and acquisitions, they take on more and more tools and platforms to the point where they're managing 150. But on a positive note, there must be one that Jo can connect to her kind of to the deskless employees with. Sam's manager hasn't heard anything that's going on with the company. He's totally disconnected too. He gives Sam the old kind of line explaining that corporate never tell us what's going on with the big company. He's totally out of the loop as well. But he does say, actually, Sam, maybe go and have a look at the notice board next to the canteen. Usually when there's some important information, they like to pin that up so we can read it at the different sites. So this is the notice board. This is the harsh reality of what companies, a lot of companies like this are using at the moment. Sam's been walking past this notice board for the past 15 years and never stopped at it, and obviously for a good reason. Out-of-date information, no one's taking any care in what they're actually showing, and it's just a really bad kind of medium. Jo, on the other hand, first week in light of the recent news, Jo, the CEO, gets in contact with Jo and said, we need to push out a message to the whole workforce, just explaining what's going on and just to put people's mind at rest. It's not quite as bad as it might seem. So Jo, first week in, message from the CEO, absolutely no problem. I'll jump on it. I'll just chat to the team, get some comms together and push it out to the whole 8,000 employees, no problem. Meanwhile, at Sam's site, everyone's seen the news, but they're so disconnected that Chinese whispers started to happen. No one really knows what's going on at the company. People are spinning up private WhatsApp channels to kind of talk about what's going on, everyone with a different version of the truth. And this is actually what's going on at lots of different sites and companies across the US. The scale of the task suddenly hits Joe. Over half of the staff at the company don't actually have an email address, or they're not connected to any kind of platform, so they're totally disconnected. That's over 4,000 people across the company. Joe asks the team, how have they connected with them in the past? How do you get information out like this to the company? And David in the team said, we've always used Post. And Joe can't believe it. We can't send 8,000 letters to the staff in the world. David said, this is what we've done in the past. So Joe can't believe it. The scale of the task suddenly hits. And Joe's not alone. Apparently, from a recent report, 85% of deskless employees don't actually have a corporate email address, and 45% don't even have access to a company intranet. So you can start to see how disconnected these 2.7 billion people across the globe actually are. But even if you are lucky enough to have a company email address, we all know that it's not every day we actually open the email and actually read through it. So only over 46% of employees will open and read an email, like an internal comms email. So let's just zoom out and see where Joe and Sam are actually at. Joe is about to give the Post a whole lot of business, sending out 8,000 letters to the staff. Even though that's no guarantee in actually getting to them, Sam's moved 3 times since he started the company, so he's definitely not going to get the letter. And Sam is totally disconnected from the organization and disengaged. He's frustrated that the company are not keeping him in the loop of what's going on at the moment. So Joe decides to visit one of the sites where Sam's working, just to kind of start to hear about what's actually going on the ground at some of these sites. During the visit, Joe spots an opportunity, and that's a screen. And it's not just one screen. There's screens hanging from every wall, from the ceiling. They're everywhere, but they're all switched off. And we see this all the time of companies having screens set up, but never really understanding how to use them or what content to push onto them. She chats to the site manager and explains, why have we got all these big screens hanging around? And then the site manager explains that 5 years ago, a Signage Platform was introduced to the company with all these screens, but they've never really been turned on. We have the news up on one of them, but we don't really know how to use them or what they're for. The next day, Joe goes back to the office and goes back through that long list of platforms and logs into the Signage Platform and starts to repurpose some of that content that she sent out in all those letters, and start to, as a test, just push that content out to a couple of the screens around the company. Sam gets into work one day and notices that one of the screens is actually turned on. He can't believe it. This screen, he's been working under this screen for the past 5 years, and it's always been off. So he suddenly noticed his company update, and it's something that's actually speaking directly to him, and he feels a massive sense of relief. He starts to see the company is starting to communicate with Sam and let him know exactly what's been going on, and really put his mind at rest. He left that work that day with a sense of relief and thankful that someone had actually started to speak to him directly. Nothing could stop Joe from this day on. Now she had this platform, she started pushing new joiner information, company financial updates, company events, charity events, work anniversaries, employee of the month, and suddenly the workforce started to get more and more engaged. Joe and the team started to really realize the potential that the screen started, and what her next kind of initiative was to actually live stream the CEO out to all of the screens to talk directly to everyone in the company. And so she could start to really see the potential coming through. Back at Sam's site, all the screens came on around the office, and the CEO came up on the screen and gave everyone a 10-minute talk around how she's thankful for all their sacrifices over the last year, and she really connects to everyone in the company, and everyone leaves feeling a sense of kind of optimism and belonging and kind of inspired after hearing that from the CEO, and making sure everyone feels kind of heard. So we all know that companies are engaged employees outperform those by 202%, so this stuff really does make a difference. I guess the lesson that we're trying to say with this story is this seems like a really, really simple solution in this story, but it's actually a really, really powerful one. No email address has had to be added, so they've not had to get people add 4,000 extra email addresses, no requirement to onboard onto another platform. which would be a monumental effort across 8,000 employees. Jo can manage this from her desk with a small team and manage the kind of consistency of information, so she can really control what's actually communicated to the employees and the kind of brand consistency along with that. And again, it moves towards a step towards a paperless business, so no more post, no more notice boards. And this is what customers are coming to ScreenCloud for at the moment, these specific use cases of how to connect with their deskless workforce. We believe at ScreenCloud that there's an enormous untapped potential in the screens that companies already have. We go and meet customers and warehouses and manufacturing units and retail, and they have screens everywhere, but the majority of the time they're actually turned off. So now we see a massive potential in how we can start to leverage those, how companies can leverage them to actually push content to their employees. So our vision at ScreenCloud is to help customers make stronger connections with employees at scale, using the screens already on their walls and the content already in their systems, enabling sales, productivity, and engagement. So what I've done there is talk you through one specific kind of use case or segment that we really focus on at ScreenCloud. We really focus on three in particular across three different segments. The first one, businesses who wanting to connect with their deskless workforce. We also focus on multi-location brands and franchises. So imagine running a franchise network and you wanting to push out comms across the different franchisees. We manage that. And then also a new kind of segment for us are actually companies coming to us building on top of ScreenCloud to actually extend their use of their platform. So the likes of Contentful and Staffbase. What we're seeing is Staffbase in particular, who's an internal comms platform. They manage email. They have a web-based intranet. But they want to extend the reach through Signage too, so you can start to see and push that message out so everyone actually sees it. So how does it work? So I'm going to just show you a tiny bit of product before we finish. So how ScreenCloud, the first step of ScreenCloud is we need to connect to the content that already exists in your company. And we do that a few different ways. The first one is we have over 60 integrations and apps in ScreenCloud where we can connect directly into the platforms that you're already using. So all those 150 platforms that Jo was managing, there's potentially lots of information there that we can connect to already. So that's the first step, getting that information out of those platforms and repurposing it for the screen. The next, like Jo just did, was actually live broadcast a Zoom meeting and a Teams meeting out to the company. And this is a way that we can start to kind of get people, or get the CEO in our case here, in front of the people that have never really heard them speak. And at a point where communication is so vital, this is really, really important. Another way within ScreenCloud is we have a design-ready content, so you can actually design screen-ready content directly in ScreenCloud, so we take away the need for any third-party kind of design tools. And so this is really, really powerful for a franchisee. If you want to push some messaging up, but it needs to be on brand, you can kind of design templates for employees to use, so you always make sure that communication is on brand and delivered in a consistent way. And another way is actually empowering product teams to actually pulling data out of the company. So we all know in every company there's siloed information on different dashboards here, there, and everywhere. Usually, if you need to get to a dashboard, you need to know the right person with the right login or the right team, and we don't really know what we're looking for. So with dashboards, we can connect to the right dashboard securely. We can make sure we're logging in, and that's all locked down, and we can deliver that dashboard to the right teams around the company. So imagine a sales manager in a franchise office, in a car sales room with a sales dashboard. We can pinpoint those dashboards to the right people and deliver the information at the right time. And then finally, how we have customers coming to us, like I said, to actually build on top of ScreenCloud. So this is a really exciting part of it. So where we take away, they just need a screen kind of operating system to kind of extend their reach of their platform. So we're working with Staffbase, Contentful, Rico with their smart office space. So some really exciting opportunities, and the way the platform is being built, leveraging a GraphQL API, is going to make it really, really easy to kind of control Studio from another system. Okay, step 2 is organizing. Once we've got all that content and we've kind of connected to it all, then we just need to organize it and schedule it. And we do that in Studio So Studio, this is the kind of CMS platform of ScreenCloud, and this is where all the content comes into, and then you connect, you have a whole screen list like this, and you can actually push that content to screen groups, different locations, different teams, schedule the content at different times. So it becomes really, really powerful. And the main part of this, it just needs to be very, very simple and very lightweight for teams like Joe, who have only 5 or 6 people in the team. They need something quick to be able to manage and get that content out to people. And then finally, if we can, the next step is once we've organized all that content, we actually need to show it on screens. So screens you can see everywhere. And the beauty of screens is every company has a different type of screen, different type of hardware. So we need to be, from the start, we need to be hardware agnostic. So this content, we need to be able to connect to any kind of piece of hardware. And make it really, really easy for Joe to scale this across an organization. So every organization we talk to, they have a slightly different screen setup, different devices. So we put a lot of effort and emphasis on making sure that connection is always robust and stable to each of these different devices. So when all that comes together, we're really lucky to have over 8,000 customers across some amazing brands. And what we're seeing at the moment is this particular deskless use case is really, really growing for us across, and more organizations are adopting Signage to really communicate with kind of those hard-to-reach employees. Our team, we have a team based across the US, the UK, London and Belfast, and Thailand and Bangkok. So I hope I've got everyone on this picture. But we have an amazing team, very diverse. And to finish off, if you're a company and this kind of story has resonated with you, we'd love to chat and love to find out more. But if it's a problem, and everyone finishes the presentation like this, if it's a problem that you'd like to help us solve, then let's chat too. We've got lots of different open positions at the moment around engineering in particular. And that's it. All done. Thank you for listening. Thanks for having me.